So good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Let's start another study meeting day. Let's start with a quick prayer then. Let's just close our eyes, join our thoughts, our hearts to the benefactors where around each and every one of us, helping us in this study, which is not intended just for us, but also for those in spirit. So may this group receive the inspiration to make the most of the teachings that we receive, not only today, but also putting into practice in our daily lives. So be it. So let me share my screen. Okay. Last time, I think, stop here. Last paragraph of item 168 about seeing mediums. So the discussion was about seeing mediums. And in the last paragraph, we read, among seeing mediums, there are those who see only evoked spirits, who can describe in the smallest detail their gestures, facial expressions, the characteristic outline of their face, their clothing, and even the feelings they express. There are others who possess the faculty in a more generalized sense, who see the entire surrounding spirit, population, going and coming, and we might say, going about their daily business. So it's interesting to see that the faculty, although they all see mediums, is not exactly the same for each one, or it depends on the occasion. Interesting to see that some mediums, they only see the evil spirits in certain circumstances. And some mediums can see in a more generalized way the environment around it. I know mediums who go to places and they see spirits there. And I remember once Divaldo visiting, he was in London. So some friends took him to the Tower of London. And then when he came back, we asked him, if he perceived anything different. And said, oh, yes, it's full of spirits. And sometimes they look at you. If you look at them, they realize you can see them. And, they try to engage into a sort of a communication or exchange. So sometimes you just pretend you're not seeing them otherwise, But this is a case of a medium who has this faculty very well established. Sometimes we have some perceptions for a fraction of a second or something. You couldn't say that it is exactly seeing a spirit, but perceiving something in the surroundings. And he goes on with a situation here. Read it. On one particular evening, we were watching a performance of the opera Oberon, while seated beside an excellent seeing medium. A large number of the seats were empty, but many were occupied by spirits who seemed to be watching the performance. Some were sitting close to various audience members and seemed to be listening in on their conversations. On the stage, another scene was occurring. Behind the performers, several jovial spirits were having fun, pantomiming them, grotesquely imitating their movements. More serious spirits, however, appear to be inspiring the singers, supporting them by giving them more energy. One of these stayed next to one of the principal female singers. We judged its intentions as rather frivolous, and after the curtain closed, we evoked it. Just before we go on, it's interesting to see that they were seeing all sorts of spirits. Some of them were there to have fun, to mock those, acting, and others were inspiring them, in what they were doing. It gives us the impression that those inspiring weren't perceived as such by those who were mocking them. This is the impression I got. To know what Charles think, because they see different spirits doing different things at the same time, in the same area. So it gives us this impression. Is that right, Charles?
Yes, it's quite a impressive case, huh? But there are other such cases like Divaldo, for instance. He could also see a lot of spirits coming and going, maybe not permanently, but when he was attending in his public function, the people coming for asking questions or service, he made an agreement with a colleague of him because his boss saw him several times going when there was nobody. And then when he was looking to his colleague, she told, yes, there is someone. So he went. When she said, no, there is no one, then he did not go. So these are the times of seeing which some particularity of this seeing medium faculty.
Yeah. So they evoked the spirit who was inspiring this lady, this female singer. So upon responding to us, it severely reproved our rash judgment. I'm not what you think. I am her guide, her protector spirit, and it is my responsibility to direct her. After a few minutes of very serious conversation, it left us saying goodbye. She is in her dressing room and I must watch over her. We also evoked the spirit of Weber, the opera's composer, during the performance and asked him what he thought of it. It isn't bad, he responded, but weak. The performers sing, but that is all. It lacks inspiration. Wait, he added, I shall try to infuse them with a little of the sacred fire. We then saw him hovering over the stage above the singers. An emanation appeared to flow from him to them, enveloping them. At that moment, there was a visible resurgence of energy amongst them. That's very interesting to see. Also very interesting to see that, the composer was trying to, energize them, to give them the right inspiration for what he had, what was his work as such, and the way he realized, he thought he devised it to the way that should be presented. And it's also interesting to see that he gave energy to these people, so they started performing in a different way, such a way that was visible, as they say, visible resurgence of energy amongst them. So we see the lesson, or one of the main lessons here, is the fact that the spirits are always around us, helping us in one direction or another, and how important it is for us to keep our minds, in focus, and also, trying to do our best in whatever we are doing, and the inspiration is around. Any question?
Yeah.
Oh, we have two Hence,
I think
Liz.
Liz
Yeah.
was first.
Okay, Liz.
Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Yeah, the infusion of energy. It's the kind of situation that you can imagine when, you know, a surgeon is performing a particularly long, arduous, very difficult operation, and they're all flagging in the theatre room, and I'm sure energy is given in situations like this and others like that as well. So yeah, we have a lot to be grateful for, that unseen help.
Yeah, indeed. And we have that all the time. Sometimes we experience this strength, you know, this energy that comes apparently out of nowhere. You say, we won't be able to carry on to the end. And all of a sudden you renew your energy, and then and also inspiration, you know, people who say,
Yeah.
oh, when I got lost then, and all of a sudden I was
Yeah, I hear.
inspired to do this or to go that way or whatever. And then we realize, and it's interesting because, as I said, one lesson very clear to me here is that always we have spirits around us, and the intentions are very different. So some people think that, oh, I only have, you know, evil spirits around me, or I'm always with good spirits, and you know, I'm protected as such. We are protected to the point that we allow ourselves to be protected, in the sense of we choose. Oh, wherever we go, we have the two, you know, this is the little devil on one side, the little angel on the other side. You know, that depicts very well the situation. You know, we tune in, you know, with whomever we want. So wherever we go, the environment is there, you know, and if we want help, we'll get help. But if we don't want help, you know, there are plenty of spirits who want us to drive us their way. You know, unfortunately, it's not a good one. So it's interesting to see. And we don't need to be a medium with the faculty very well, you know, open and to perceive these things. Of course, these mediums are more affected than people in general, but all of us, as Kardec said, we are all mediums. So to a certain degree, we are exposed to this environment, and we choose, you know, which way to go.
This week, I've been particularly aware of inspiration, both in my dreams and remembering them on waking, on decisions and things like that, which were very, very helpful. And I think if we are aware of that, you are actually tuning in most of the time. And so you don't miss that opportunity. And it's beautiful.
Yeah. I think Denise had raised the hand, yeah?
Yeah, I found quite interesting that her protector spirit is with her, and then like, because I understand that we all have guardian angel, protect spirit, whatever you want to name that, but normally they are not with us all the time, just by a fault. If we think or ask for help, they would come, but not be. So either makes me think that she's going through something, or the environment that is there to help her, so something must be happening. I just found it strange that we really want to be with her. So I just,
I'm not sure if it's her guardian angel, because the
Oh,
guardian angel, as we call, you know, that one spirit overlooking our situation.
So what is a protector? Sorry.
Well, any spirit interested in, you know, guiding us and protecting us, because we have the benefactors, of the activities.
Okay, all right, yeah, okay.
For
Thanks for
here,
clarifying.
for instance, we are under the protection, of course, of our guardian angel, but our guardian angel may not be directly linked to this activity, because there are good spirits also in charge of this study, and we are under their protection. And also we have familiar spirits who are more evolved than us, who are also protecting us, guiding us, looking after us. It's a big family.
Okay,
I didn't see as her guardian angel. I saw as protecting spirits, and she may have many, you know, in the sense that spirits who are interested in helping her, and protecting her, and helping her to go through, you know, the situations. And
Okay, thank you, Meneer.
yeah, no problem. Okay. Liz, yeah, Liz Wales.
Hi, everybody. Yeah, Moni, I was going to say exactly what you just said to Denise, because no spirit do anything single-handedly, whether they are, you know, high in the hierarchy. There is always a fraternity there. There's always a group. So yes, we have people all the time around us, not the same person sometimes. So we just need to have this picture that there is always a group, is always a team of people that look after so many people together, isn't it?
Yeah. Okay. Let's move forward then. Here is another event that proves the influence that spirits exert upon humans without their knowing about it. Before we go, just to remind us that, you know, this that we know now, that we are always surrounded by spirits of all different stages in their spiritual development. We normally say good and evil, but you know, there are gradations, you know, from the evil, really evil ones to the very good ones. But it's interesting to see that several spirits, they didn't want this information to come. And even when I think when Chico Xavier was receiving the book Astral City, people around them, and he said apparently there was this barber where he used to go and shave. Even the barber was influenced to kill him because they didn't want the book to come to public, because this information is valuable. Otherwise, we wouldn't know how to protect us. We wouldn't understand where, you know, how the environment around us is composed. So this is a very important information, not just to, you know, show us, to put ourselves, our present life in a different perspective, in a new context, but also for us to be prepared, to know the terrain, to know the area where, you know, we move, and to protect us in a better way. So in many situations, the spirits weren't, evil spirits weren't happy with the idea of bringing this knowledge to us. And we see that today, this materialistic movements being influenced by spirits who don't want us to be spiritualized. Because, you know, if we want to keep people under your control, you keep them ignorant. So we were watching a theatrical performance like the other one, but with another scene medium. While we were conversing with the spirit spectator, he told us, "Do you see those two ladies by themselves in the box in the first tier? Well, I'm going to make them leave the theater." He then entered the ladies' box and began to talk to them. They had been attentively watching the show when they suddenly looked at each other, seemed to consult each other, then left and did not return. The spirit then gave us a merry gesture, meaning he had fulfilled his word, but we did not see him again to ask him for more explanations. In this manner, we have often been witnesses of the role that spirits play among the living. We have observed them in many places where people gather: dances, concerts, sermons, funeral, weddings, etc. And everywhere we have found them stimulating evil passions, inciting discord, exciting disputes, and rejoicing in their exploits. Others, on the contrary, find this harmful influence, but they are rarely listened to. Let me just highlight this. They are rarely listened to. So our, negative side that we all have due to our past, that we bring with us to slowly transform into, virtues. Sometimes they induce us to, be deaf to these inspiration, this influence that we receive from good spirits, helping us to fight. And the thing is, wherever we go, we will have negative influence. But as I said before, wherever we go, we also have good influence, and it's up to us to decide. I think it is an exercise for us. Sometimes you say, well, why didn't they come and do this and prevent me from doing that? Well, good spirits don't go against our free will, never. They won't do for us what we should be doing. But it is a lesson that slowly we learn. We realize the consequences of not listening to the good voice, the good side of us. And then, from there, we, become stronger. We become wiser as well as to perceive where that suggestion is coming from. And it's a process that we all go through, and it's part of our development as spirits. Okay. Anything to add, Charles?
Yes, I mean, Kardec is insisting on this because this seeing mediumship faculty is illustrating the question in the Spirit's book, where he asks, do the Spirit influence in our daily life? The answer is yes, much more than what you think, and at the point that often they are leading you. And so he took the opportunity of having lived this type of situations to illustrate it here in the Medium's book. No?
Yes, yeah, it's interesting because with these cases where, the spirits are clearly perceived and their influence is very clear, it is a good example. And, it's everywhere, basically. We think that, it is a particular situation at a particular moment that the spirits are there to influence us. No, most of the time, as Charles just said, Kardec warned us, most of the time they are the ones leading us.
Can I put something out there as well, Muni, about this? I was, many of us, isn't it, think, when we think about the spiritual world, and the way we speak, sometimes it kind of creates a division, isn't it? Here, us, and then the spiritual world somewhere along the rainbow somewhere. But in fact, we live in it. We are already in this spiritual world. There is no division there, is there? So I was talking to my daughter yesterday about death and all of these things, and I said, what do you think happened? I said, I go to spiritual world. And where is it? Do you think it's like somewhere far away? Yeah, I do think like that's no. It's everywhere. We are already in it. The only difference is you have a body and so do I. So, I think that is, although, yes, we are here, we are studying the Spiritism, we understand many things, but yet when we observe us in practice and talking about all of these things, isn't it? All of these in practice in our daily lives comes to be exactly like that, the spiritual world far away, and we just need to reflect a little bit more on that.
Yeah. I remember it goes back to, one of the first lessons we learn in science when we are at school, that two objects can, be at the same time at the same place, but it's okay if you are in the same density, but if you are not, it's just, if you take, for instance, a material object and a magnetic field, for instance, you can have both in the same place because they are of different nature as such. Okay. 0171. The faculty for seeing spirits can undoubtedly be developed, but it is one of those whose development should proceed naturally without being artificially stimulated in order to avoid being exposed to illusions of the imagination. When we possess the seed of a faculty, it will sprout by itself. As a rule, we should be content with the abilities that God has granted us and not seek the impossible, because if we want even more, we run the risk of losing what we already have. So we see that Kardec here is not encouraging people to force the development of the faculty, because the faculty will naturally develop according to the conditions that the medium has spiritually and materially, that the body will allow the manifestation of the faculty. But also when we do that, we may be, exposed, as he said, to illusions of the imagination. We become overexcited in our mind, and then we start to see things where there's nothing, just a creation, an illusion by imagination. Otherwise, when it's natural, sometimes you don't even perceive. When I started in Spiritism, I was sort of a, young, and we joined a youth mediumship development group. And there was a lady there, one of the ladies in charge. She once told me, "Oh, I gave up driving because I can tell if someone crossing the road is a living person, in a body, or a spirit." And she said, "I gave up driving. Can tell, if it's one or it is the other." And that came naturally to her, just like Divaldo and Chico Xavier. They would believe it was, an incarnated spirit, but it showed in the end that, it was not. Charles has mentioned this when Divaldo started working, and he would just go and, talk to someone who wasn't a living person and was creating an embarrassing situation. And as Charles said, he had to ask a colleague to say, to nod to him if there was someone there or not. It was just spirit he was seeing, so he wouldn't get himself into this embarrassing situation for other people, talking to no one, So the faculty, when it's there, it will come. What we should, how would I put it, is sort of develop or educate is our condition as, our qualities, moral qualities, our values to study. This is what will open the way if we have the faculty there, dormant. So it will sprout, as it says. Once we have the right conditions, it's like a seed, that we put in the soil. When the conditions are right, then, you will see the seed turning into, a little tree or whatever. But we need the right condition. The right condition is actually to work on us, not to force in all possible ways the mediumship to, to develop in this way. Okay. When we mentioned that the cases involving spontaneous apparitions frequently occurred, so that was number 107, we did not mean that they are very common. Those involving seeing mediums per se are even rarer, and we have many reasons for distrusting those who claim to have that faculty. One is prudent not to trust them without positive proof. We are not referring to those who feeds the ridiculous illusion of globular spirits, which we described in number 108. But those who claim to see spirits in a more rational manner. So we see sometimes people talking so many things about seeing spirits and talking to the spirit of an animal or all sorts of things. And Kardec once said, we should, it's better to reject 99 truths than accept one falsity, because this falsity will perpetuate and cause tremendous damage. And if something is true, it will come back here, there, in all sorts of places. And that's why, he says, without positive proof. So not to just accept everything. Sometimes, especially when we are getting in contact with spiritism and all this information for the first time, we get so excited, and then someone comes, an absurd, and talks to us and says something that is absurd, and we take that because, oh yeah, oh wonderful, yeah, I saw extraterrestrial beings around me every day. Wherever I go, they are there with their little flying saucers and whatever. And so people believe because, they, I would say, extrapolate the knowledge that they are receiving until they know it, and they know the limits, and they know what is possible and what's not possible. So, and the piece of advice that Kardec gives us is the one that he used throughout the whole of the codification: positive proof. So it has to make sense. It has, we should look at something and see if it makes sense with the rest that we know. No, but in that case, it isn't like that. Basically, that situation contradicts this one. So one of them is wrong. If I have proof that that one is okay, so this one must be wrong. So I won't accept it for now. Put it in the drawer, leave it there until, new evidences will come, either to prove that, yes, you were right, that is not possible, or no, it was possible, but it was possible under these special circumstances. Okay. Some persons could undoubtedly be sincere, though mistaken, but others may simulate the faculty out of vanity or for ulterior motives. In judging such cases, we must pay special attention to the person's character, morality, and sincerity. However, it is especially in the details of the circumstances that we find the surest means of appraisal. There are circumstances that can leave no doubts, such as those involving exact descriptions of spirits whom the medium never had the opportunity to know when they were incarnated. The following case belongs to this category. A widow lady whose late husband frequently communicated with her met a seeing medium one day who did not know her or her family. The medium said to her, "I see a spirit beside you." "Oh," replied the lady, "that is probably my husband, who almost never leaves me." "No," responded the medium, "it is a lady of a certain age who has a strange hairdo and who is wearing a white headband." Because of this particularity and other descriptive details, the widow fully recognized her grandmother, whom she had not even been thinking about at the time. If the medium had only been faking the faculty, it would have been easier to follow the widow's suggestion, but instead of the husband, whom she had been thinking about, he saw a woman with a unique hairdo, of which he could have had no idea. Moreover, this case proves that what the medium saw was not a reflection of any outside thoughts. So see number 102. So it's it's a good example of a situation where leaves basically no doubts. If someone who knows very little about your life, especially your relatives and ancestors, and then it comes and gives a description like this. There are many situations in Chico Xavier's life, in Divaldo's life as well. I remember, I think it was Divaldo. Yes, Divaldo once, I think his mother, his auntie, he was very young, he was a child. And then his mother used to get very angry at him because he would come and talk about his little friends, a native Brazilian Indian who used to play with him. But he was the only one who could see this little boy. And once he came and told that there was a lady, he described the lady, even the necklace that she was wearing. And then her mother got really scared because it was the description of her mother, who Divaldo had not met. So, his mother then became more convinced, and apparently his auntie was there as well, who confirmed, yes, our mother used to wear this dress and, this necklace as well. And this was the proof that, he was actually seeing his grandmother. Okay. Questions? Anything you'd like to add, Charles? Charles?
Yes, sorry, I was on mute.
No problem. Yeah.
No, nothing to add, Munir. Thank you.
No, okay, thanks. Somnambulistic mediums. Somnambulism can be considered as a variety of mediumistic faculty, or rather, we should say that these two types of phenomena are frequently found together. Somnambulists act under the influence of their own spirits. It is their own soul who, in moments of emancipation, sees, hears, and perceives beyond the limits of the senses. What they express proceeds from themselves. Their ideas are generally more correct than during their normal state, and their knowledge is broader since their soul is free. In other words, they live in anticipation of the spirit life. So we see here that in this case, it is the spirit of the person who is regaining some of the power of the faculties that were dormant when they are in awake states. So when we free ourselves from the body at night or under special circumstances, our spiritual senses, they, how they say, they were dormant because of the physical body, the conditions of the physical body. Then we start to regain some of that. That's why Kardec is saying that, our knowledge is broader, and our perception also is how would I say, is amplified due to the fact that we are using our perispirit to perceive things. We are using our spiritual faculties to perceive things, which are no longer so restricted by the physical body. restricted by the physical body. Okay. Well, there was this line here.
I think there is a feature in Zoom where you can draw some lines on the image you are showing. You
Okay.
may have activated it without
Probably,
knowing.
yeah. Okay. Okay, so it's interesting also to see here that can be considered as a variety of mediumistic faculty, but basically it is, you know, it goes together with you know, mediumship as such, because sometimes it's difficult to, you know, to separate one from the other, because we use our perispirit to as a way of doing or making possible the mediumistic communication, the mediumistic interaction with the spirit, other spirits. But also it is the same perispirit that is responsible for this broader perception and even knowledge that we regain, of course, knowledge that we have, and sometimes it's suppressed by our present situation in the physical body. And it's difficult to say, you know, where one ends and the other starts, because these elements are always present, especially the perispirit of the person who is either using mediumistic faculty or the mediums who are said to be, you know, somnambulists. You know. Mediums, on the other hand, serve as instruments for an outside intelligence. They are passive, and what they express is not their own. Some somnambulists express their own thoughts, while mediums express the thoughts of others. However, the spirit who communicates through an ordinary medium might also do so through a somnambulist. Frequently, the same state of the soul's emancipation doing somnambulism makes the spirit's communication easier. Many somnambulists see spirits perfectly well and describe them with the same precision as seeing mediums. They can converse with them and transmit their thoughts to us. Thus, what they say I don't know how to get rid of this red line here, but I won't stop now.
Can I
Yeah.
just make a comment, if that's okay? That
Yes. Okay, Rafael.
somnambulism is, if it's not balanced, can lead to making even more negative links into the person's life. So, for example, if person can have an okay lifestyle, an okay lives, and maybe doesn't really have addictions or something destructive, but if his or her thoughts are not good, and that accumulates to creating a dense energy over a period of time, even though that person may lead a moral good life, when they go to bed and they sleep, they can be taken to places that they don't really, that they wouldn't go if they were in balance. That could be places that they're not really good for your soul, and places of addiction, and places that when they come back, they're so drained from it when they actually come back to the body. And sometimes this challenge can affect spiritist centers with mediums that may not be using discipline as they should, with saying things or making comments or being over negatively or resentful or remorse. Things like that will link us to the lower spirits, lowers our vibration, and therefore blocks good things from coming through or being recognized in our lives.
Yeah, not just somnambulists, also all of us, even without a very clear sign of mediumship. It's just the fact that, you know, some people say, I don't dream at nights. Well, they don't remember what they did at night, but certainly they do something. And, you know, what you described is exactly what can happen to everyone, depending on our level of vibration of our thoughts. And that's why it's so important when we go to bed to prepare ourselves. I have personally noticed the difference when I take problems and, you know, very heavy situations in my mind to bed. And when I prepare myself, leave them outside bedroom and prepare myself to do something constructive, something good at night, saying, well, the problems, I'll pick them up tomorrow. But today I want to do something that is positive. I want, if allowed, you know, I can join a group that will do something good during the night. It's totally different. Not that I am good in one situation and I'm evil in the other situation. It's just that we have all these mixed, you know, vibrations in us. We are not exactly at a certain frequency all the time. We vary within a range. And this range is in accordance to the amount of development we, spiritually speaking, we managed to make through all these incarnations so far. So, you know, we can keep at our lowest level most of the time. We can keep at our highest level most of the time. But usually what happens to most of us is we oscillate. Sometimes we are, you know, very well, and all of a sudden something, and sometimes we don't know where it comes from, you know, puts us down, or the other way around. Sometimes we are feeling really, really down and our vibration, you know, is very low. And then all of a sudden we regain, you know, we are energized, as it's been described in the previously in the book. And, you know, we see the same things. We are in the same place, seeing the same scenario, but we perceive things in a different way, more positive. You know, it's almost as if we were just looking through a keyhole and someone all of a sudden, and what we saw through this keyhole was nice. And, you know, we created this dark situation, and all of a sudden someone opens the door, and then we see the full room, and wow, it's not exactly what I was, you know, expecting. So, you know, this type of thing. But yes, Raphael, it's important for us to prepare ourselves to go to bed, and not just jump into bed with whatever thoughts, you know, because we'll take these thoughts with us to bed and during the night as well. Okay, let me just finish this paragraph here. However, the spirit who communicates through an ordinary medium might also do so through a somnambulist. Frequently, the same state of the soul emancipation of somnambulism makes spirit communication easier. Many somnambulists see spirits perfectly well and describe them with the same precision as seeing medium. They can converse with them and transmit their thought to us. Thus, what they say beyond the circle of their personal knowledge is almost always suggested to them by other spirits. The following is a notable example involving the simultaneous action of the somnambulist spirit and another spirit who reveals itself unequivocally. One of our friends employed as a somnambulist.
Sorry, Moni,
What?
Elsa has her hand up.
Sorry? Oh, sorry. Oh, yes, Elsa Lee.
First, I apologize. I forgot to describe it in the spiritual set. And I will travel on 2 weeks. And
Okay.
because my companion is sick. But this is not something I had the problem when I was a teenager, because I couldn't believe it in myself. I think, oh, do the see yoga, or because I couldn't see difference between sonambulic. Now I know little better, and clarivident, because sometimes is I must be honest. Sometimes I don't know when I am is sonambulic state or clarivident. I know better clarivident when I sleep, and yes, I am another side or this side, or we have on another side when we sleep. Then I know it's a clarividence does this, because my body is here, and I go. But everybody does that, and I remember. I see many wonderful things. People I know now today, but we lived in another epoch, another time, and we did it some thing. So we does now works with charity, charity. This is nice, but when I am awake, I have a difficult. I must say I confess, and I am spirit is 36 years. So sometimes I have to. When you please can say to me why we can have difficult.
Yes, I mean, we are understanding the faculty, we are understanding ourselves, and knowing ourselves. So all these difficulties, they are natural, also. And the other thing is, for us to understand something, sometimes we have to create categories, we have to create divisions. But, the passage from one to the other is not clear. Sometimes they mingle, they are together, as has been said here, for instance. So it's just a way of, looking at things in parts. So we have to create these parts, but nature is not divided in that way, So when we get to a situation where it's not clear if it's A or if it's B or if it may be both, then we get a bit confused. So it is experience will tell you, the important thing is what is necessary in every situation. As I said before, we don't know, we see, for instance, in mediumship development in the sense, the medium being prepared for the faculty to blossom. So the important thing is the medium to be prepared, whatever the faculty will blossom. Sometimes it starts as, writing medium and turns into seeing medium or whatever. Sometimes, both. Or the important thing is, what is the condition that is valid for all these situations? You work on those conditions, be always prepared.
Yeah.
Gain knowledge.
Okay. When I see spirits and I awake, I am here. So really, it's not happens always. No. But sometimes happens, and I see. I think it's clarividence when I see suddenly my dish, and suddenly I see something so happens, and it's very clear details. I feel, smell, I see feelings, I see. So, and this is, I think, is clarividence. Is clarividence, I think, I don't know.
The same medium, you
Sometimes-
see, and
Mhm.
it's been divided in two there. I mean, for us to understand, those mediums who only see the evoked spirit in detail, great detail, like, you know, the thing you were describing. It may not be the evoked spirit, but the spirit who came to give us, you know, communication or tell us something, or, you know, and sometimes, you
it
know, the
was-
medium will see the whole environment in detail.
Munir, this is not described now, not described, but it's happened with me. And that on two days in the next Monday, yeah, I saw in the newspaper, it was there. And then
See?
beauty of it, and also, oh, this motorist, this driver was there, and the bus, and the people, and the familia. So I saw it was there in this, and then
Yeah,
paper.
I would give you two
newspaper.
pieces of advice because we are running out of time. And there's
What did
also
you say?
Liz who wants to say, we are running out of time. I mean, it's
Sorry.
yeah, no problem. I would, you know, two pieces of advice. First, study. Study and try to understand what's going on. And second is, you know, always find a good purpose for what is happening to you. The important thing,
Okay.
whatever, if it's seeing medium, if it's, you know, clairvoyance, if it's somnambulism, whatever, you know, what good can I take from this, you know, not personally, but, you know, in order to help or to even to improve you, maybe a training, we don't know. Okay, good. Liz?
I just wanted to ask you two questions, and I hope you can answer now or after. It's fine with me. Just because in my family we had lots of like my father had somnambulistic states, so did my brother, and what I could see was especially in their childhood that they have, you know, lived this. So is it like a state that could be kind of, you know, when you are a child or a teenager, you are more susceptible to this? And another thing was, what is, because sometimes I get confused, you know, what that means of some somnambulistic trance. So I get really confused because you have the somnambulistic people doing this and that. And then Kardec is talking about this somnambulism, and then where is all in concept-wise?
Yeah, I'll quickly try to answer your question, but, you know, if some doubts remains,
Yeah.
we can. First, you know, every type of manifestation of a spiritual faculty is, you know, it takes place during the first years of incarnation because our body is not fully, our perispirit is not fully attached to the body. So the perispirit still have some freedom. So it still enjoys some of the spiritual faculty that will not lose, but will stay dormant during the rest of incarnation, or may come back in the future. So many children, they have, you know, these little friends they play with, that they are the ones who can see the friends and no one else. And then those friends at a certain age, they will go. After the perispirit is fully attached to the physical body, the development of the physical body as well, will do that. And that's why it's so common, right, during the first years of life. And I think this perception, or, you know, this common perception of the somnambulism comes from the fact that the spirit of the person is partially detached to the body, from the body, but is still under control of the body. So it's using the perispirit to perceive beyond the physical senses, but it's still, you know, in this, they are not, you know, sleeping as such, because when we sleep, we also enjoy that. So we leave our physical body and go and do things, but they still remain in an interaction, you know, which is not a sleep state, with the physical body. So in general terms, because we're running out of time, I would say that. And then people create that idea, and somehow it's true that The spirit is controlling the body while it's asleep. But somnambulists are not exactly asleep. They are in a different state. And in that state, they can control the body as well, and do things. And okay, this is in general terms. But of course, when we study in details, we see that, there are gradations for that, Okay.
Munir, just to answer where is the trance, the part that she said, just 1 minute for everybody here. She was asking about the trance is the magnetic way that Kardec learned how to, from the classic magnetizers. There is a special way with you use your magnetism to make a person go into trance.
Yeah.
Induce it,
Yes.
and this is what it is talking about. And you can make it this detachment of the
Yes.
soul, like he was explaining, in this trance. And
Yes.
there's a lot of things written about that in that time.
Yes, Leon Denis explains that very well. He also
Exactly.
brings some examples that are very nice in his books, how to induce, this situation through magnetism. Okay, unfortunately, it's time for us to finish. I wish we had some extra time, but we have other things to do, and it's important to finish now. I'll ask Charles if he could do a brief prayer for us just to finish our study today.
Yes, sure. So elevating our thoughts again to our Almighty Father and to all the spirits who is sending us to help us in overcoming the natural difficulties of life. And grateful for this opportunity we had to think about this seeing and somnambulic mediumship cases. May this help us in order to accomplish our mission that we decided before incarnating, mission towards our own moral reform, evolution, and also helping all our brothers in humanity. So be it.
So be it. Thank you all very much indeed. I'll just stop here. Yeah.
Thank you
I
all.
hope to see you all next week. Have a wonderful week.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.